Hello, viewers, and welcome to the Passion and Purpose Hub. My name is Tunde Kukoyi, and this is the channel where we share useful knowledge to help you maximize your passions and your purpose so you can enjoy not just success, but fulfillment also in your personal and professional lives. I'll start by saying Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance to everyone who's joining on the live stream and those of you who'll be watching the replay. This is the Passionate Professional series. And what is the Passionate Professional series? It's a series that has been created as an offshoot of the Passion and Purpose Hub to encourage people to live out their passions and maximize their potential. So, what we do is we look for people from different streams of influence and from different walks of life, whether it be government, business, education, healthcare, faith, media, arts, or sports. We bring people from all these sectors of life who are crushing it out there in the world, who have refused to settle for an ordinary life. And we bring them closer to you so you can ask the questions that you've been yearning to ask and to learn from them. For me personally, it's a learning experience because I don't get to talk to many of these people, but when I bring them to the show, I get to ask them questions that I've been itching to ask. It seems like I get to have mentors that I've not had before. And I want you to take it as that as well for you viewers watching the show. Now, this is not just a two-way conversation, not just between myself and the person I'm interviewing. We always want as much audience interaction as possible. So please feel free to drop your comments in the comment section and I'll be sure to bring them up. And if you have any questions that you've been itching to ask, please ask as well. Now, before I introduce our speaker for today, I also want to tell you about the Passion and Purpose of It's a channel on YouTube. If you've not subscribed yet, please subscribe because it's all about personal and professional development. And when you subscribe, you get access to videos and also useful interviews like this that can help you not just attain success, like I said before, but also find fulfillment in your lives. Now, enough said about me. Let's move on to our guest for today, who is already here and is ready to impact our lives. Our guest for today, I'll just bring up his bio very quickly. Our guest for today is none other than Dr. Michael Koku. He's a minister, is an entrepreneur, is a coach, and is a leadership trainer. I'm just going to start off by reading his bio for us. So Dr. Michael Koku is a physician by training and is a minister by calling. He's enthusiastic about human development and growth. He received his formal education from the University of Ibadan Medical School and has served in various leadership capacities, both as a student and also as a qualified physician. He relocated to the United States in 2008, where he joined the Salvation Army, West Philadelphia, as the program administrator. And he contributed more than 10 years of meritorious service and visionary leadership and received the Employee of the Year award for the Greater Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania in 2018. He's fully committed to ministry and is the lead pastor at Royal Envoys Incorporated, which is a green pastor church based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's also a certified speaker, coach, and trainer in leadership, communication, personal growth and development, and behavioral assessment with the John Maxwell team. He is the Chief Vision Officer at Esperanza Manifold Concepts, which is a personal and leadership development company with a dominant passion for adding measurable value to human lives and inspiring people to live their dreams. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I welcome to the virtual stage Dr. Michael Koku. Hi, Dr. Koku. Can you see and hear
Hello.
me?
Yeah, yes, I can. How are you doing, Dr. Tunde Kokoi? How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well today, and I'll start by saying thank you for coming up on the show today, and Merry Christmas. I know it's a busy time of the year for you with ministry and things like that, and I know that you have to rush from your church to get on this show, and I really appreciate that. So I'd like to say thank you very much for taking that effort and that effort of love. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Michael
Yeah, the
Koku.
pleasure is mine. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. So, like, this is the Passionate Professional series, and people will say, "Oh, I thought you said it was a professional series. Like, what's going on?" And I think that you qualify in on more than one front, more than one level. You qualify first being a qualified physician and also being a minister. Was it Malcolm Gladwell that was talking in his book that if you've practiced for up to 10,000 hours in a particular field, you're becoming a professional in that field. I know for you, it's not just been um, over 10,000 hours in the medical field. You've also been a minister for how many years now? So many years. So you're a professional with two hats, if I can put it that way. So welcome to the Passionate Professional. And I'm sure that a lot of viewers here today will be able to learn from you. I think I'll just give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. Just tell us about yourself. So things you want to share with the viewers, tell us about yourself today. I'll let you have the stage. Welcome.
Wow. Wow, it's great. I mean, you already said so many stuff on the bio. Yeah, I would just like to share that I'm someone that is very passionate, and a Roman philosopher said that all of life is action and passion. He said, not to be part of the passion of your days is to have risk, have not have lived at all. And that's why a lot of people, it's hard to describe them. Let's say, for instance, maybe like you, whatever schools you go to, whatever nation you schooled, and maybe you're trying to describe someone. I mean, you're trying to, oh, do you know somebody? Do you know somebody? Nobody knows the person because he was never passionate. He was never passionate. So that was what that Roman philosopher was talking about. So if there's one word I would like to be remembered for, I'm a man of passion. Because you can change the world. When you are indifferent, it takes and being weird to be a difference maker. I'm a difference maker. I don't want to subscribe to status quo. So I have a passion. Initially, when I was growing up, I want to be a medical doctor, and the reason why I didn't want to be a medical doctor is like I like to help people, and that passion to help was what brought me into medicine, and the Lord allowed me to finish. But something happened to me when I was a freshman. I had an encounter with God, and He made me to realize that I have something more for you than what you have for yourself. And that changed my whole life. So 25 years ago, I was called to ministry. The name of the ministry is Medical Apostolic Outreach. And I received that vision and I started training. I pastored while I'm in college. I pastored a fellowship, Living Spring Campus Fellowship in UI then. And I haven't handed over 5 years after. Then I was occupying several leadership platforms. I did a lot of things when I was in school. I was the head of Ibadan Money Community. I created a concept for medical students. I team up with people of like minds where we were able to simplify learning, in which help people to easily recollect what they have read, put it in an easy fashion, and that helped not only our own set but the following set and many sets after us. So after I was done, I became qualified as a medical doctor. I worked with the Christian Medical and Dental Association as the executive secretary of the Oyo State chapter. Then I became the LOC secretary of the when we hosted the national and then the national conference in 2008 before I relocated to the United States. So it's been service all my life, and service has been what has made life meaningful to me. And that's is one of the things that brought me to this platform. And I joined John Maswell team after serving. When I came to US, I know I'm not going to practice medicine. I joined John Salvation Army. I was there as a program administrator. I was there for 10 years. I got the award for the Employee of the Year 2018, and I wasn't serving for an award, but it came along the way in recognition of my contribution. Then I left there June 2020, and the Lord, as already a month before, prepared me to join the John Maswell team, which I have been looking for. When I got there, I knew that this is where I'm supposed to be. And that's how I got to meet the host of this section. It's where learning was really at its zenith. Other people are ahead of you. So it's been my passion, adding value to human lives and making a laudable contribution to life. And I'm happy to be here to do the same today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Koku. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned, it is actually reading between the lines and listening very closely to people, because we have a lot of encounters with people and we don't pull out the learning points from there. I mean, just from what you said, I've actually pulled out like four different nuggets that I think that I can take on along with my life. You've said things like all of life is action and passion. You also said that you can't change the world if you are indifferent. You also said something. You said service is what makes life meaningful to you, and these are actually very very key points, and I think they all go in line with what we want to discuss today. So you've talked a lot about what you've done and your journey and things like that. I know you worked in the Salvation Army for about 10 years. Can you tell me what how was that experience for you? Because I know what the Salvation Army does. They help people by ministering to their physical and spiritual needs. Was there any time, anything, any particular striking experience from there that you'd like to share with us here on the show?
Well, that was a good question. And the Lord got me to Salvation Army through a man of God that is my mentor today, Pastor Tony Lewis. Pastor Tony Lewis and the wife, Envoy Lavana Lewis. And they're like Aquila and Priscilla. And what I learned from them is not to just know the word of God, but to be a doer of the word. And because I came across to them when I got there, because one of the thing grace I have is to read the Bible and to remember the scriptures. And when someone is trying to find it out, where is this in the Bible, I just tell them. To me, it's just my second nature, because medical school for me was my Bible school, but Salvation Army was my training school. I get to really apply what I'm learning from the world. So Salvation Army was a place for me to learn this value-based and people-driven and servant leadership. Even though I knew it before, I've been exposed to John Maswell. But when I met and Envoy Tony Lewis and Lavana Lewis, the wife, they really taught me how to model the Word of God. And also, it was a forum for me to really exhibit my leadership. They saw the potential. In fact, they gave me a chance when nobody believed in me. By the time they recommended me for the position, they were faced with a lot of opposition because some people thought that because I wasn't born in America, the people that I'll be working with, I can connect with them. But those are learned skills. I think the main thing they saw this attitude and someone that is ready to learn. And I was a learner. In fact, the name of my department is called the Learning Zone, and that was prophetic. So I began to learn. I learned a lot about the American culture. I learned a lot from the kids. So I learned a lot. For that 10 years, I learned so much, from people. I was just a learner. I was ready to learn whatever I need to be relevant to this culture. The Lord gave me a word at that time. He said, I want you to study the system. Then I want you to understand the system so that you can give leadership to the system. And he showed me Joseph as a model. So he said that Joseph did not become the prime minister as soon as he got to Egypt. He said, I don't want you to be a shooting star. I want you to be a nothing star, giving direction to others. And that's what the Lord did. So I studied the system during that place while I was there. I didn't know everything yet. I'm still studying. Then I was understanding the system. And then Pastor Tony and the wife was really helping me with all this process. And they also have this small group interdenominational Bible study that they do every Tuesday that I was part of, and that also helped me a lot. I was part of it. I was learning. Mr. Uriel Lewis was the head of that Bible study unit. So it's another forum to mingle with men, to really sit down at the table to learn, because I wasn't born in America, but I was able to learn from those men about the culture, and that really helped me today in what I'm doing. By the grace of God, I can relate to the American culture, and I don't have to be born here to do that. But those things doesn't just come naturally. They are things that I have to learn, and that was a good time for me. So Salvation Army was a training school, and I was able to learn that many homes are full of single women, and because of that, because my mom was a single women, because my dad died when I was 6 years old, and he has five, boys. So I can relate with their situation. So I was really passionate on how I can help them. So one of the things that I started then, we started doing a pickup service from school. We adopted a school. We were picking the kids up from school, and that really took our program to another level. We also partner with schools like Dresser University, where we got more volunteers to help the kids. So it was a very powerful moment for me to. In fact, some of the people from Dresser University are watching us live now. And there's one of them that his name is John. John started the chess club. I got him into the program. He started the chess club. He said he's going to join live today. So, and John is going to medical school. He did a pre-med, So, and
Wow.
people are really excited when they said, "Oh, you're a medical doctor. You left that. You were doing this." And I knew that was just a passage for me. But right now, I have my own company. my leadership development company. I train top professionals and across the board and globally and online, and I do live events too as being invited. Yeah.
Thank you so much. There's something you mentioned, and I think I want to get a bit more information about that. You said that you also learned from the kids. It was Walt Disney that was saying that the problem with the world today is that too many people grow up because
Mm.
people stop dreaming. They feel like, oh, I'm no longer a kid. They stop believing in their dreams. And you mentioned that you learned from the kids. Can you just shed more light on how we can actually learn from children as well when it comes to things about fulfilling your potential or success and things like that, fulfillment, being content? What can we learn from children?
Well, and that's a very good question. To that point, I would like to say this. There are three attitudes to learning, and I give it an acronym called ANT, ANT. And the first attitude about learning is the arrogant attitude. And the arrogant attitude says, no one can teach me anything. And the second attitude to learning is naive attitude. The naive attitude says, only one person can teach me everything. And the last one, which I believe that we all supposed to have, is what I call the teachable attitude. The teachable attitude means everyone can teach me something. So, and this include the kids. So the kids are good teachers if you become a good student. Someone said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So the kids are good teachers, and I give them name. I believe in the kids. One of the thing that we do this. There's this one website called clevercrazes.com from Cincinnati. And they normally give out prizes for kids that the top 5 kids in the whole America that does the program. So I begin to encourage the kids that yes, you can be the top 5, you can be the top in your grade. And they normally send Walmart gift card $10 for each for the kids that become the top. And apart from that, the program that got the most score can get $500 for that week. And my program, by the grace of God, we won $500 back to back for about 5 consecutive months.
Wow.
The rule doesn't permit for us to win it every week because they don't want to make it every week something. They want other places to win it too. Otherwise, we will have won it every week. Because I really inspired them. And I said, listen, we are yet to have a millionaire. We want to have a millionaire, someone that make 1 million points. And there was this kid that people normally look down on. And I said, you can do it. You can do it. Yes, you can. And he got into that. And this kid had 1 million points. We bought a supreme Little Caesar pizza for him. He got so beyond the pizza, he for the first time he saw that he can accomplish greatness. And one time I came to him and said, listen, you can do it again. You can do it again. And he went and do it again the second time. So I call him clever, crazy millionaire. And that helped his self-esteem. Do you know that the dad just told me, I saw him today that he's admitted to one of the best high schools in Philadelphia. And
Wow.
I tell you, and it's a testimony that really blessed the parent. Up to now, they still remember that. And there's another girl too I inspire. I said, we've never had a female millionaire for clever crazes. And I do, yes, you can do it. You can. So this can do spirit is a very powerful thing that I put into the kids. And that's why the parents they love the program. So she did not just win it once, she won it twice too. So I was able to break a lot of barrier using the program. We have a lot of testimonies, kids that they've put a label on that this one had ADHD, and I tell parents, listen, with no disrespect, I don't believe in label. Let's deal with this kid as if there's nothing. And we've been able to put that in place. These kids have turned around, and we have a lot of testimonies over the years. I mean, there's so much record that were created in that. So the kids, they've learned what is possible, and no one can tell them what is not possible. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. That's in that short time. I mean, I've already felt inspired. And you also mentioned how Pastor Tony and his wife also inspired. And I think it's kind of like a theme here. And that's also what this show is all about. The can-do attitude, like you talked about, is just to get us to
Mm.
see that we all can do this thing. I was reading a book and someone said that everyone has the potential or the ability to achieve their dreams. We only need faith and courage to believe in our dreams. And sometimes we need people to believe in our dreams. And that is what you talked about. You talked about these two millionaires. I don't want to use the word crazy, but yeah, these two
No, it's
millionaires.
clever crazies. It's clever crazies. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you talked about how Pastor Tony and his wife also helped. I mean, they believed in you when no one else believed in you, and that's the truth about life. I once heard someone say that people are like flowers. If you nurture them, they will blossom. And
Mm.
sometimes we need people that would nurture us actually in life and get us to that stage. I wanted to ask about your transition from medicine to ministry. How did that go? I mean, how did that process come about?
Well, that's a great question. Someone, John Maswell said, "Good questions informs us." It's a great questions transforms us. And this is a transformational question. I believe that. Yeah. So like I told you, I received a call to ministry. While I was in medical school as a freshman, all my life I want to be a medical doctor. So when I got into being a medical doctor, I just think that, this is just sufficient for me to be a medical doctor. I mean, I was really to be a medical student. But when God called me to ministry, it's like, wow. So I say this was a real disruption. And every divine disruption is programmed for human eruption. And that God intend human to erupt like a volcano. You can't pretend that something didn't happen when there's a volcanic eruption, because God did not want us to live a life of status quo. One of the great American presidents, Woodrow Wilson, he said something. He said, "You are not here to merely make a living." He said, "You are here in order to enable the world to live more amply, with greater vision, with a finer spirit of hope and achievement. You are here to enrich the world, and you will impoverish yourself if you forget the errand." We are all on errand. When you forget your errand, you become impoverished. We are on a mission to add value to the world. Every one of us is a creature of value and purpose. Our color in life is rooted in our ability to wake up to our makeup in order to be in alignment with our maker to fulfill the purpose of our making. And that was it. So when I got that call and I knew that this is an higher calling, then the Lord continued to really, raise me up. He gave me a platform to serve. That's it. Whenever God give you a calling, not that you will immediately arrive on the throne. No, the road to the throne is a road of service. So the mission is the same. The purpose is the same. What we change over the years is your mission post. So I was given an opportunity to pastor a new fellowship that I started that was shut down, and the pastor really desired it to thrive. So I went for it, and it was a foundational ground for me. And the pastor also believed in me, Pastor Femi Manuel. He really believed in me. He gave me a free hand, and he gave me the support. It allowed me to thrive with my gift. I have to come up with those. And the good news is this: most of those things that we started are still there. There's something I started in the fellowship called Spring Festival. In fact, this did the 20th year, and the 20th
Wow.
Spring Festival this year. They didn't even know it. When they were doing it this year, I said, "You guys, you know that this is the 20th edition of the Spring Festival? We did the first one in 2001, and they didn't even know it." So I was, called. So I was working in my calling as a medical student. So my calling was really empowered me. It's like this is how a calling is like. A calling is like you buying a toy, and they said battery comes with this. A calling comes with a battery, and the battery is the Holy Spirit, because it's the enabler. At times you might not feel like doing something. Like last week, I had a packed schedule. I was going from one meeting to the other, and this is another meeting. So, but the calling, it comes with a battery on. So the battery is the power to do. Bible says God that worketh in us both to will and to do, not just to will, but to do. So that's the battery. The battery comes with the calling. So that means you can take credit for any things happening in your life, because anytime you mistaking God's act, for personal achievement, God turns his back on you, and that keeps you humble because you know that it is God that is doing the work and you just privileged, to front for God. So I had that calling and I was working in it as a medical student. So the transition is easy as a medical doctor because I knew a day is going to come that all that I'm going to really fully go leave medicine and go into this. And that's what happened. So when I was living in Nigeria, where I practiced last in the 2008 July, in fact, my last days in Nigeria, I was on vacation because I got some little vacation before I traveled. Because at that time, the CMD, the Christian Medical Dental Association, I was the executive secretary. So I was the one running all the plan to host the national conference. So they gave me all the room to do that. So that was my best moment because I wasn't doing any clinical work because this is really what I want to do, And all the professors, they saw the grace and they gave me that free hand to run the secretariat. And the national conference was very successful. In fact, they gave me a formal sent forth, in that event. So it was easy for me coming to United States, even though we had some challenges in the transition when you know that this is what God called you to do. Some people think you crazy. You know it not for doing what God called you to do. You only not for not doing it. And I just signed up for purpose, and it's been a journey, and thank God we still on. And
All right. Thank you so much. I mean, I was just going to ask a question, and very interestingly, someone else asked that question. And that's the question because I was reading the book recently and it was about purpose. And just like you said, you found your own purpose or your calling. Now, it's not everyone that's going to be called into ministry, obviously. People will be called into different things. But the question that many people still ask, I mean, someone still called me like about a month ago and saying, how do you find your purpose? And that's kind of like similar to the question that someone has posted on the group, which says that how did you know what your next step will be? So how do you find purpose? That's the question I was going to ask you.
okay, that's a very good question, and that's one of my specialty. And when you talk about the issue of purpose, Dr. Miles Morrow, the apostle of purpose, says when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. And the thing about purpose is this: every creation of God is made for a purpose. Every creation of God is made for a purpose. And this is a huge thing that we all need to know. Because when you talk about purpose, purpose is in the mind of the manufacturer. Purpose is not in the mind of the product. We are not called to determine our purpose, but we have an obligation to find out what our purpose is. Now, let me say this at this point. Everyone in the world can be divided into three categories. Everyone in the world. Number one, those that are doing a job. Those that are doing a job. Number two, those that are building a career. And number three, those that are fulfilling their calling. You see, your job and your career is a vehicle for you to get to your calling. There's no such things that no one is called. Everyone is called by God to fulfill a purpose in life. But you cannot discover your purpose until you know your maker. The reason is this: until a child is out of the womb, while the child is still inside, the child cannot do anything in this world. Oh, you may say, well, what do you mean? There are some successful people, there are some rich people, they have money. Listen, having money doesn't make you fulfill purpose. The fact that you are rich, you are rich does not mean that you are working in purpose. Because when you talk about purpose, it's in the mind of the manufacturer. God told Jeremiah in Jeremiah 1:5, before you are formed in the womb, I knew you. Before you came out of your mother's womb, I ordained you to be a prophet to the nation. So that is the purpose. But do you know that Jeremiah was born into the family of a priest? In fact, they expect Jeremiah to be a priest. Now, here is God coming with a divine disruption. like I told you the other time. So the purpose of a divine disruption is to create an human eruption, because the human spirit is never finished when it is defeated. It is finished when it surrenders, because that spirit is born of God. So that is why everyone have to be born again. Being born again is not a religious slogan. It is a new birth. You have to be born into a new family, the family of God. Now, after that, you can now have access to the voice of your Father to know what He has called you to do. Otherwise, it will be a guesswork. And I don't care whatever anybody does in this world until they find out the reason for their birth. And how do you do that? The word of God said in Jeremiah 29:11, it said, I know the plan that I have for you. Plans to give you a future and a hope. Not plans to harm you, but plan to prosper you. But what did God say? God said in verse 11, I know the plan. Now, He said in 13, if you care to know the plan, then you will search for me with all your heart. Listen, God is a spirit, and a dead spirit cannot connect with God. That's why you have to be born again. So when you now born into God's kingdom, you can have access to God's voice. So when you have access to God's voice, like I said, I had an encounter when I was a freshman. My ambition is to be a medical doctor, but God's plan for me is to be more than that. And as far as some people are concerned, they will think that, oh, when you're a medical doctor, that's all you can be. Listen, I have a lot of people, my medical colleagues, that are miserable. I'm not saying all of them are miserable, but many are, because they I've spoken to a lot of them. You see what I'm saying? But they prefer to receive the endorsement of men. Oh, you're doing fine. You are a doctor. No, no, no. At the end of the day, what counts is the calling of God for your life. Like I said, there's nothing wrong in doing a job. There's nothing wrong in building a career, but those things are meant to lead you, because your calling is what you must do. Your career is what you can do. That's the difference. Your calling is not your choice, it's God's choice for you, but your career is your own choice. Through your career, you get success. But through your calling, you get significance. Success is what you do for yourself. Significance is what you make happen for others. And that's what I'm living for, because living for others to live is life indeed. One of my greatest quotes in life is an exciting business, and it's more exciting when live for others. So how do you find your purpose? Number one, you have to be born again. You have to become a child of God. And number two, you need to make an inquiry. Jeremiah 33 verse 3 say, call upon me and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things you are yet to know. So there are two ways of discovering God's purpose, either by your own inquiry or at God's instance. Just like the man, Paul the apostle. He wasn't making any inquiry on God, but God cornered him on the way to Damascus, and he called it an heavenly vision. And that's why in Acts 26:19, it says, hereby hold Agrippa, I was not disobedient to the heavenly vision. I don't want to tell anybody hearing me to think that, oh, this is a religious conversation. No, it's not. This is not about religion. This is reality. Because you can separate God from reality from now to eternity. Because people tend to think that, oh, well, don't let us talk about God. Listen, if you're dealing with your purpose, the person that made you, the manufacturer of the product. I've done some research and in my own personal drive, because when you talk about this area, this is my own specialty. And I believe in my second book that I wrote, Understanding Your Gift, I share with that the meaning of gift. I didn't learn it from anybody. I learned it from God, gave it to me by inspiration. The word gift means G-I-F-T. It means God's investment for triumph. So there's an investment in God in every being on earth. So that gift was put in there by God. So, and our gift has to do with our purpose. So if you have not had a voice from God and all that, discover the gift that He has put in you. So there's a gift on the inside. Or number two, you need to recognize a passion Just in the sake of Nehemiah, there was no voice, no vision, but Nehemiah has a passion. When his brethren came to him in Nehemiah chapter 1, he asked about Jerusalem. And when they told him, he was the cupbearer of the king, but something break inside of him. Think about Mother Teresa. She had a passion. She was living in Calcutta, and the people that she was taking care of, they were living in a rich environment. But anytime she looked out there, she saw the poorest of the poor. So our passion took her from away from our comfort zone, because no true growth happened in our comfort zone. So she left her comfort zone and she went out. And the mission of charity today has more than 1 million people. That was a purpose born out of passion. So they are purpose born out of passion, they are purpose born out of vision, the one that God gave you, and they are purpose born out of gift, of you connecting with God's gift and endowment in your life. And the gift and calling of God, according to Romans 11:29, they weigh the same here.
Wow. That was like a full dive into the topic of purpose. And thank you for everything you shared. I mean, people are already sharing like the things they've learned from you. You talked about people doing a job, people building a career, and people that are fulfilling the calling. And you said that your job and your career actually meant to help you to fulfill that calling. I think it was Steve Harvey that said that your career is what you're paid for, but your
Yeah.
calling is what you're made for. And
Yes.
yes, it can't it's I mean I couldn't agree more with that, because if you're working outside your calling, then you would not find fulfillment. And like you talk
Yeah.
about, Dr. Miles Moreau actually has a lot of content on the topic of purpose. Now,
Yeah.
talking about passions and purpose, we know that the fact that you have a purpose, you have some things you're passionate about, it doesn't mean that things will be easy, but it means that it will make the difficult times even fulfilling, and it will help you get through the difficult times. So can you tell us a bit about a challenging time that you had before, or a difficult time in your life, and how did you go about it? How did your passion pull you through?
Well, that's a good question. I talked about having a calling is like having a in the uniqueness of a calling is that there's a battery to it. And that's let me share a recent experience that I have. I The kind of toothbrush that I use is the one that has a battery. And so I was about to brush my teeth. That was 2 days ago, and I found that the battery was weak. So the toothbrush could not really operate the way it was. It was called Oral B toothbrush. If you live in the United States, I don't know what it's called in elsewhere. That's a good brand. Then I just find I couldn't use, so I have to go and look. And it was like early in the morning, because I like to wake up and read in the morning. So I just quickly went to go and get another battery. And as soon as I put it, believe me, Sally, it was so effective. I have an option why the battery was weak to continue to use it without weak battery, or throw the battery away and use the brush like the regular brush. But with a calling, the difference is clear. It is so clear. You see, when you have passion, passion is like a fuel, and it's like a burning fire. When you are really passionate about something. Now, let me share one of the secrets that I've found out in life about people having a dream, having a purpose. The reason why many people doesn't fulfill their assignment in life is they are believers and they are not owners. There's a difference between being a believer of a dream and and taking ownership of the dream. You see, when you believe in a dream, it's not enough. Anything can stop you. But when you own the dream, no devil can stop you. The difference between believing a dream and owning a dream is when you come to the realm of ownership, you are ready to pay any price for it. You see, the journey is free. The dream is no, the dream is free, but the journey is not. And in the journey to fulfill a dream, you need passion. Passion is the gas, is the fuel. And once you have passion, passion keeps you going. And that's why passion helps you to dwell on the why. That's what passion is all about. It's all about the why. And once you have passion, it's like a wildfire. And that's why, as a passionate person, you need to work with passionate people. You need to subscribe to things that feed your passion. You need to subscribe to passionate habits. And those are the habits of growth that help the habit of growth. A passionate person is someone that grows every day. A passionate person is someone that learns every day. A passionate person is a hungry person because they know that passion is like a fire, it's like a bonfire. You have to keep it alive by feeding yourself continually. As I'm speaking with you now, my table is full of books that I just bought. I buy books. In fact, my budget for books is a lot because, and the more I read, the more I realize I need to know. And not knowing is not a product of the fact that knowledge is not available, but because you have chosen not to. So passion is key to fulfill any dream, because passion will make you to carry on even when you don't feel like going on. Yeah.
Very true, very true. Yeah, like you said, passion is like fuel, and I like the analogy you used with the battery in your electric toothbrush as well. If your battery runs low, then you won't perform the way as much as you should perform. You
Yeah.
might say, "Well, I'll do it manually," but you would tire out if you do it manually.
Yeah.
And I just love that analogy of using battery, and I'm struggling hard to listen and take notes at the same time. But the good thing about it, and for people that are trying to take notes as well, is that it's recorded. You can always play back and get as much information as you can. So, someone once said that when you read a book the first time, you go through the book, but when you read the book the second time, the book goes through you. And that's why I
Wow.
always encourage people that don't just do things one time and just go through and feel like you've done it. You've only gone through, but it has not gone through you. And I would encourage you, if you can, play this over again, because then it goes through you and then you're able to take everything, digest everything that you need to from this show today. So you were talking about some passionate habits and things like that. What if I asked you, what are your maybe hobbies or habits? What are some of your most productive habits? You've mentioned one already, and that is reading. You read a lot. You said you're a voracious reader. Is there anything else that you would like to recommend to people that are looking to become more passionate about what they do?
Yeah.
So, what are your most productive habits?
Yeah. My most productive habit is my learning opportunities. For instance, this situation, even though I'm invited as the guest, but I'm learning. You just share something now that is a light bulb moment to me. That when you read a book the first time, you go through the book, but when you read the second time, the book goes through you. I didn't know that before. I just learned that. So my productive habits are my learning opportunities, and there's so many materials that you can learn from YouTube. Of recent, I'd subscribe to YouTube Premium so that I can take off the ads that was so annoying. So anytime I'm taking a shower, it's a learning opportunity for me. Anytime I'm driving, I have something I always put. I have like I logged in into my plan every morning. I have a daily plan, daily agenda that I do. I call it MDL, a must do list. I used to call it to do list, but I switched to MDL, must do list. And on my MDL, if I have to go out that day, I do what I call AUPD. The AU is Auto University. Then the PD is personal development. Like today, I have 4 AUPD based on the time I'm driving, going somewhere or coming back. So those are my learning opportunities. I put on something from YouTube, like I said, I already got premium, so I'm paying for it less than $20 a month. So that's an investment into my learning. I'm paying for that. Why? Because I believe to learn. Then also I read books, and one of the things I also do that I do leadership training every two months, every two months, and as I train others, I have a lot of things to prepare because I like to bring something fresh. So it puts me on my feet. And also, I have a tribe that I built on WhatsApp called the Thinkers Island for the Matured Mind. Now, on the Thinkers Island for the Matured Mind, any willing person can subscribe to it. As long as you have your WhatsApp number, I can add you to that group. But in the Thinkers Island, I shared 5 inspirational quotes every day. And I've been doing this since June. I've been doing this since July 2020. At times, I share 8 quotes in a day. And for me to share 5 inspiring quotes in the minimum, I'll have to go through some learning trips. I have what I call learning trips. So I go to LinkedIn every day. Wow, what am I doing? I'm learning. I'm learning for something fresh. I learn from Abba's Business Review. I learn from, I subscribe to different kind of learning system. Why? I want to learn. I want to learn. And the more I learn, the more hungry for me to learn. So this has become a lifestyle, it becomes an habit that there's no way I can sleep with. Apart from the reading I have to do and other things I have to do. So another things that is very important for the learning opportunity is to have an accountability partner. I have some people in the GMT, John Maswell team, that we have an accountability partner. They are also coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maswell team. That we do have every 2 weeks meeting, and we do challenge ourselves to see how we're doing. So these are also opportunity for learning when you have an accountability group, because that accountability systems help you to enhance your productivity, because you have people that you sharing the same ideals, you encouraging one another, and you pushing one another along the way. And also, I'm part of the mentorship group, which is another learning opportunity in the John Maswell team. So I have to, apart from these last 2 weeks that the office is closed, I join live calls. There's so many things on our website that if you miss any call, you can go and learn. So I'm always learning. I'm always in this habit of learning, because I want to be on that T side of the ANT, to maintain that teachable attitude. And to this extent, I would like to share what I called the mainstay of learning. The mainstay of learning. And what I'm about to share right now is going to help a lot of people. I call it MTL. Now, this MTL is my mainstay of learning. And this has really revolutionized so many lives that I've been privileged to share this with. Because when you look at this system, and I make it so easy, because one thing I do is that I make learning easy. If you hang with me long enough, I have a way of simplifying learning. So this is my mainstay of learning. I give it an acronym, and the acronym is ROAR. ROAR. It's like a lion roar. And what is it? So the first R is the mainstays to learning. The mainstay to learning is the first R is reading books. So we learn through reading books. That's a learning opportunity for me to read books. I buy books a lot. Number two, the O I talked about. O is observation. There's something called the law of observation. You learn from observing successful people. So observation of successful people. You don't observe. At times you can observe people that are not successful to learn what not to do. So the second one is observation. Learn from successful people by observation. Then the third one, which is A, is very, very important. Now, this A is actually what I've actually talked about. The having this the teachable attitude. That's the A. I've already talked about that when I was talking about the ANT, having a teachable attitude that I can learn from everyone. Then the last one is R. This is the most important one. Everyone is important, and this is what we call reflection. Now, reflection. That means constantly reflecting on your own experiences. What went right and what went wrong. Now, reflection is something that has to be done daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Now, what do I mean by reflection? That means, you see, every one of us, we have a lot of experiences. It takes reflection to turn our experiences into insight, which is one of our greatest personal assets. Now, when you want to reflect at the end of the day, go over your day and ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, what went right? Number 2, what went wrong? And number 3, what can I do differently? Number 1, what went right? Number 2, what went wrong? And number 3, what can I do differently? Now, Those things that went right, you want to do more of that. The things that went wrong, you want to do less or none of that. Then what are you going to do differently? That means you stop doing what went wrong and you want to do more of what went right. Now, if you do that 7 days consistently, it will become an habit. It's
Sure.
a
Oh,
daily review. Yeah.
sure. Very true.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I think we are very, very close to the end of our time together. It's amazing how time flies when you're with the right people and you're doing the right thing. But I think a couple of questions I wanted to ask you, just as a follow-up to your most productive habits, when you talked about learning, talked about reading books. So I was just going to ask, like, do you have any favorite books or who are your mentors? Who are the people that have inspired you the most? What are your favorite books? Maybe some of us can actually learn from them or those books.
Well, the my mentors, one of my greatest mentors is Bishop David Oyedepo, and Bishop Oyedepo is the senior pastor of Faith Tabernacle and also the chancellor of Covenant University and Landmark University. He's been my mentor for many years, and this man of God has been the greatest inspiration of my life, and that's Bishop Oyedepo, and that is the woman that brought him to Christ. The woman is Miss Betty Lasha. Miss Betty Lasha came to Nigeria as a missionary, and when he came to Nigeria as a missionary, and he led Bishop David Oyedepo to Christ in 1969. Now I'm coming back to America now. To touch so many lives. So there's a book of his that I read that changed my life. It's called The Force of Freedom. Wow, that book, I read it when I was in medical school. That book changed my whole life. Then there's a message of his that I listened to that changed my life. I've listened to a lot of his message that changed my life, but there was this one particular one called The True Picture of Success. It was a cassette tape at that time. I'm still looking for it now because I gave it to a friend of mine. He lives in UK now, very close to me, because he was on my ministry team. I want him to learn, but he just lost the tape. And the person that gave me the tape couldn't trace back that original tape. But right there, I got something. He said, success is not in position, it's not in accumulation. He said, success is making tangible contribution to your generation. Oh, that thing caught my attention. This is way back in 2001, the late, maybe like December. It says success is not in acquisition, neither is it in position or accumulation, but making tangible contribution to your generation. He now went on to say something. He said, a millionaire is not someone that has $1 million, but someone that is worth 1,000,000 life. That thing touched me. Wow, it's really touched me. The force of freedom. Then that message, the true picture. That means in that message, he painted the true picture of success. And when I saw that picture, something happened to me, because the future you cannot picture, you cannot feature. And also, one thing I saw from him is this: living for others to live is life indeed. Ellen Keller, another inspiration of mine, says, life is an exciting business, and it's most exciting when live for others. Another
Sure.
mentor of mine, of course, is Dr. John Maswell. And I was privileged to meet him recently in Florida. I met Dr. John Maswell. I took a picture with him. I know you got a picture. And it's meeting him, it was a big deal for me, because Dr. John Maswell have really touched my life a great deal. I learned a lot about, being a people person. And when I met him, as I got closer in that picture, I can feel greatness. But one uniqueness I saw about greatness is humility. I saw that greatness and humility, they are inseparable. They are inseparable twins. He was such a humble man. You can easily approach him. He's approachable. And that's something I found. Real greatness does not wear face mask. They are so pure, they are so unique, and they are for real. Now, one of his books that has really touched my life is when I read it, developing the leaders within you and also developing the leaders around you. That's the first time I read those books. They really touched me. But of recent, one of his books that's really touched my life and I can recommend to anyone on this heart is called Leadership. Leadership. In fact, I've done two different seasons of training on leadership. Leadership is a very powerful book. Yeah, you got it. Amen. Is this book is gold. And because the word leadership means the ability and the willingness to make a leadership change that will enhance personal and organizational growth. And he mentioned 11 essential change that every leader need to make. So that's a very powerful book. And then one of his recent book that I can recommend to everybody that is called The Self-Aware Leader. That's his newest book. And I'm doing a training on this book starting January 22nd. It's going to be explosive. That this book is great because why did I say about this self-awareness? Because the more self-aware we become, then the less role play we will do. The more you become the less you self-aware, the more you're gonna role play. The more you become self-aware. Now, the more self-awareness that you're gonna have, you're gonna be comfortable in your skin. That's why self-awareness is not something we can achieve by ourselves. We need the help of people around us to be more self-aware. And the characteristics of self-awareness, quickly to say this, is number one, consistency. Number two, openness and transparency. Number three, the willingness to address your weakness. And number four, you talking about understanding your values, the things that are really most important to you. I'll stop there.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe it that we have just 3 minutes to go. But I think I'll just ask one more question, which tallies with the question that someone has asked on the feed. And the question is, I know you're doing a lot of learning. You're always out there training, teaching. You've got a church as well. How do you achieve life work balance? I once say work life balance, and the last person I spoke to on the show was like, no, it's not work life balance because your work does not come before your life. Your life comes before your work. So now I've rephrased it. Now, how do you achieve life work balance? And the question I was asked on the feed is, how do you stay focused with all these things that you have to do about all this learning you have to do? So I think that will be the last question before we round off. So how do you bring all of that together, life, work, family, and things like that? How do you bring that together?
Well, I think this balance has to base on the law of familiarity. The law of familiarity states that the more familiar you are with people, the more you are likely to take them for granted. So now that you understand the law, so that means you need to now establish the law of priority. That means, the law of priority talks about first things first. Then success, according to John Maxwell, which I also subscribe to, is this: when the people closest to you think most about you. So I give a real attention to my family, and I create a family time that, this is a time for family. This is a unique time, and you need to allow your family to know what you are your commitment, your passion, what you are committed to, but you need to find a way to really make that shift. My wife, for instance, you can see her in that picture. When I went to my first live event, because all this while because of COVID-19 and all that in Maryland, we went together. And she was so excited. You can see her in that picture. She was really excited, because she can see what I do, my passion, what I flow in, what really matters to me. So family time is very important. And I believe also making sure you bring your spouse into what you are doing. Let her know what keeps you going. Let her know the purpose for the battery inside of you. Yeah.
True.
Then the last question you asked me, you talk about learning, something like that. Yeah.
How do you stay focused with all the different approaches of learning that you have?
Yeah. You see, you stay focused on learning when you accept responsibility for learning. Yeah. Because responsibility is like a coffee to me. It keeps me awake. Somebody asked my mentor, Bishop Oyedepo, that, oh, we students, in order for us to keep awake, we take coffee. He said, what do you take to stay awake? He said, I take responsibility. So, so from him, I realized that responsibility is a coffee. One thing I did is I like to break my day into two. And I teach my wife to do the same thing. So what does that mean? You can just work all day. You have to create a break time. So and these are what great men do. So you break your day into two. When you break your day into two, so that you can refresh, even just for 1 or 2 hours, then come back to your table again and to learn. Because I have a lot of things to do. I have a lot of clients that are waiting for my services. I want to give them my best. There's no way you will come to my training and you won't want to come back, because I don't give leftovers. I give fresh insight. And people are really they get value for what they come from, because I believe that we all hold we all need to do things with a touch of excellence, because excellence is the key to leadership. Yeah. And it's an attitude. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Koku. I mean, I can't believe it, but it's 1 hour. We've been on the stream for 1 hour now. I think we'll break off at this point. I think if you want to hear more from Dr. Michael Koku, just search for him on his Facebook page with the name Michael Koku. And if you want probably some leadership training and things for your organization as well, you can reach on Dr. Michael Koku via his Facebook page, and I'm sure he's going to respond to you. I mean, I reached out on Facebook and he was one of the first few people to respond to me very quickly. So I'm sure he'll respond to you as well. So we'll break off at this point. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Michael Koku, for,
Thank you
for
for
your
the
time.
opportunity. Yeah. And
Thank you so much.
like you said, I do reach out to people, because a lot of people, they don't do social media. What they do is digital media. I do social media. Social media is when you reply someone back. I respond. I don't play with people. People are one of my greatest joy. And if you reach out to me, you'll know about my training. I'll get back with you. And within 10 minutes, if my phone is not off.
Wow.
Yeah, thank
That's
you
that,
for the
that's
opportunity.
that's
It's
a
my
very
pleasure.
remarkable quality. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
And
Thank you so much.
I'll be available anytime else you need my services. It's my pleasure to serve. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're
So
welcome.
we'll be here same time. Last Sunday of the month in January. In January, you have another exciting guest coming up. He's an Olympian, he's won the gold medal, and he's also an architect by profession. So I want you to stay tuned as well and make sure you join in. This will always run the last Sunday of the month. It's the Passionate Professional series. Thank you to everyone who's viewed, and for those who are going to be watching the replay as well, thank you. Always leave your comments. I'll be sure to get back to you. So we'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you once again, Dr. Michael Koku, and have
Thank
a wonderful holiday.